Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear
Hi.
me?
Yes, I can. I'm
Great. We got it hooked up.
We got it hooked up. John, I am I'm working on a podcast about New Orleans. Specifically Preservation Hall, because Larry Bornstein, the guy who founded Preservation, is from Milwaukee.
Yep.
And so I want to first get you, like, New Orleans is a city that has a sound that is unique. It's like there's nowhere else in the world or in the United States that sounds like New Orleans. What is that sound? What's the sound of New Orleans?
I think the sound of New Orleans is the sound of a lot of different cultures coming together. People think about it as a party city, but it's more of a real world experiment, a global experiment of a bunch of different cultures coming together as one and existing like that for hundreds of years without ever being interrupted. And that manifests itself in different food, different architecture, different rhythms coming together from all parts of the world to create a flavor that is special. You know, it's very special. It's one of those things that really is what we want America to be as a whole, which is just a melting pot of everything. So I think the sound of New Orleans is the sound of the world, but it's distilled into that experience of just being in that same place on the river for so many years.
And what are some, like, specifically, what are some of those sounds?
I think it can be anything. I grew up playing in heavy metal bands. I grew up playing in bands from
What?
yeah. I mean, I grew up playing drums and bass, heavy metal band. We grew up also. My family played New Orleans funk and blues music and R&B music. But then I also, with my younger family members, we played video game music and video game soundtracks. Um, I think the sound of New Orleans specifically is freedom, which means that it can be anything. You can
Hmm.
just, it's something in the swagger. You can tell a musician from New Orleans.
Yeah. And what do you know about Preservation Hall?
Oh, Preservation Hall is a great music venue. One of my favorites in the world. My good friends are there. Ben Jaffe is someone who is a friend of mine, and he's a NOCA alum, and NOCA is our high school, and he's just a great person to run that because he really does it from the heart. You know, he runs it from the heart. And I just love the venue because it's an acoustic environment. So you go there, you can feel the music washing over you.
Yeah. And what are they doing there? What at Preservation?
Oh, at Press Hall, there's a lot of music that's happening from multi generational connections. So you have the new and the old all coming together, and you have musical families, and their offspring are continuously the next generation in the Press Hall band. So there's a range of ages and a range of experience that comes together to pass on this tradition of music that's in New Orleans. This freedom that I was talking about is something that they pass on in Press Hall quite expertly. They just teach you how to be a leader in that and take it across the world.
Have you ever had family that has played in the band?
Yeah,
Or
and I've played in the band. I played Press Hall. I think the last time that I played there was with my father. My father is a bassist, and he played.
wow.
I played. We played together there.
Wow. And do you know anything about Larry Bornstein, who founded it, like, before it was Prez?
Ben has told me a lot about him. I never met him. He was before my time, and I think I may have been too young actually to ever meet him. But he
Yeah.
was um, he was someone who, also Ben's parents as well moved
Yeah.
to New Orleans, I believe from Philly. Um, so his mother, I've met Ben's mother. She's still around, and is really amazing.
And is that is like, we're kind of talking about, like, the culture of New Orleans. Is that what the album We Are is about, or what is that? Who are we in the We Are of the album?
We are is all of us that care to really make a difference in the world today.
Mm.
And not necessarily speaking about politically, but also spiritually. Internally, we have a lot of things going on. You know, I've had the pleasure of going across the world and meeting so many different people and befriending a range of different spirits. Yesterday I was on the phone with Jamie Foxx, and we're talking about the way that he feels like he's been here many times before. But also then I think about growing up in the South, and all of these unsung heroes, people who worked at the local diner, the people who worked behind the hall at the press hall cleaning everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you think about in life doesn't have to be external. There's something that happens with us inside. And we know right now is a major time. We all can feel that this time in the world is a major time. So We Are is kind of the question and the answer. We are we the ones? And yes, we are. So we have this opportunity to really have this awakening, I believe.
I love that. Jon, in listening to your music and seeing you on TV, I think that the thing that translates me and that comes across is that, like, I think that so many people are trying to express themselves in music, and I have never seen anybody as expressive as you are in your music. It is like, so like sometimes like when you're on with Steven, I'm like, you won't even like say much, but you'll say it in a song. You'll say it on the piano. That expression is what everyone is to do. Is it easier for you to express yourself in an instrument?
Well, for me, I have this. Everybody has a gift. I can play, maybe 12 instruments at this point, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that I'm always humbled to share with the audience. Without the audience, I'm nothing. So I think I come alive when I have an audience that can experience this gift with me, and I believe it's a special thing to heal people through music. I sing on the album, and I sing a lot of the songs that I've written. And I like to do it all. I like to produce, I like to write, I like to sing, I like to share it all, because it's something that I've been doing since I was a kid at 9 years old. My first performance was one where my grandmother, she would ask me to dance like James Brown, and she would ask me to sing, and that's one of the most expressive performers of all time.
Yeah.
And that kind of performance, from being a 9-year-old kid to moving to New York City and getting the whole experience of being in New York at 16, 17 years old. Now that I'm on TV, it just makes this, it feels like such a blessing to share all of this experience and all of these gifts that I've been blessed with. Because if you have a gift, it's not meant for you. It's meant for the people.
Well, I think that's something that's so special about when you make music is your interaction with the audience. There are that most musicians are not interacting with an audience. They I feel like most people that are making music, they're making it as like, they just don't consider the audience, I think, a lot of times. And that, like, the audience is such a big part. Was it difficult for you in making the album to not have, because you're so good at riffing, at feeling the room and expressing that, and like, I feel like you're so good at reacting that to be making an album is not reacting. It is not that participation in the same way. Was that hard?
Well, I think making the album is the opposite of live performance, in that it's not about the influence of the people at that moment. It's more about going inside, internal, into your heart, your soul, and digging out the right snare drum sound and the right lyric in the right moment that captures how you feel in that time. And that's what I did with this album. And I've been doing albums longer than I've been known as a live performer, but the world has gotten to know me, Jon Batiste, as the live performer first, before the musician who makes these albums in his dressing room. The way the process the album was made was was in the Ed Sullivan Theater where we taped the Late Show at CBS, and I set up a recording studio in my dressing room, and I had a bunch of creatives come in for 6 days, and in between me doing the soundtrack and score for Soul and consulting on that film and recording at the Late Show
Yeah.
and doing these other things, I would come into my dressing room basically around the clock in between these other things, and we would record basically the blueprint for We Are in 6 days. We made that, and then over 9 months after that, we me and so many others that I brought in. You know, I tapped Quincy Jones, Mavis Staples.
Yeah.
There's so many people on the record, but over 9 months, I would kind of build the record from that 6 day
That is wild.
explosion of creativity.
That is absolutely wild. And I would love to go into it, but I think that we're gonna get cut off here. And just before we leave, I would love to on air go and play a song and go into a song after this conversation. So, like, what is like the last song that you couldn't stop listening to, or something you've been listening to recently?
Oh my goodness, I've been I'm listening to "I Need You." I love that song. It's just like it's probably the most joyous song on the record. It's a dance song that's so joyous. I think people will need that in this time.
Yes,
after the days we're in.
I think joyous is the perfect way to put it. Every time I listen to you, I feel like that is every like performer and artist has their like super strength, and I think that your super strength is joy.
Oh, that's great.
that's what I get coming out of it. So that is my time. I will let you go on to the other ones. So Jon, thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking and for giving me the context to this album and your life.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.